Wow. Look at that.
Hello, stream. Welcome. And hello, Chris.
Hey.
Okay. Note to self. Remember. Oh. Hey, James, how you doing?
Good. You guys hear me?
Yep, we hear you just fine. Just about to say, note to self, remember to mute the mic when I'm about to take a sip of my drink.
Remember, the 5th of November.
So still no word from Ken?
No, haven't heard anything back from him. Oh, well, he just has popped online, so...
Oh, he's here.
And here he is. Okay, all right.
The devil.
Yeah.
Like the cowboy wants some of the shenanigans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, doesn't want to be left out. FOMO.
Yeah. FOMO. Okay, great. Excellent. Well, then we will go ahead with our session as usual. Viewer, we're having a bit of discussion because one of our players is ill tonight, and one of the other players was sort of AWOL, incommunicado, and we were not sure if enough players were going to show up to have a game, but I figured we'd do something. So, looks like we do have a quorum, so we will go ahead and have our regular session tonight.
Gentlemen.
All right. Good evening. All right, everybody. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Time on a Thursday night. I am DM Galabond, and I am joined by three of our players this evening. We have James, we have Chris, and we have Ken. Mike, sadly, is under the weather, and so he's not going to be able to join us, I don't think. From the message he sent us earlier, sounds like he's not going to be able to be here. But with three players, 5th edition, that's enough to have a session. So we are going to press on with the game. All right, last time in the Sword Coast Chronicles, our heroes were on the tradeway between Baldur's Gate and Waterdeep. They were precisely 11 days out of Baldur's Gate. They had spent the night at an inn where they ran into a few jackasses. A few guys who thought it would be funny. They were adventurers who had a lot of extra gold in their pocket and too much whiskey in their bellies. They thought it would be fun to rent out the entire inn and try to prevent anybody else from staying there, when a whole caravan full of drenched, soggy, cold people showed up, and including a few very temperamental cultists and a couple of, and 4 ornery adventurers. So the ne'er-do-wells got their butts kicked and got sent out in the rain naked, with nothing but lashed to their horses with nothing but their loincloths. And the belongings of said ne'er-do-wells may have disappeared into a cultist wagon. We don't know. But what we do know is at the end of the session, just before everybody turned in, our artificer / wizard, Mulek, did go and do a detect magic over the wagons and found a couple of wagons that at least pinged with some low-level magic items. Certainly no artifacts, but something probably magical, probably common or uncommon. And it was in some of the new wagons that they know match the type that the cultists bought back in Baldur's Gate. So with that having been said, I think what we will do is we will go ahead and continue moving on up the trade way. Okay. So what that means is that I need to go over here. Oh, what in the nonsense just happened? You stupid thing, you. Why did that open a separate? Okay, you shouldn't have opened a separate tab. Okay, dummy. Then I need to go to my die roller. Okay. So on the 12th day out of Baldur's Gate, you have a more or less uneventful day. And you guys can jump in at any point and say, hey, some evening we'd like to have a discussion. Otherwise, I'll just sort of tell what happens over the next few days. So let's do
during the first day after the stay at the inn. Am I able to determine? So we've already determined that wagons 3, 5, 9, 20, and 24 are the cultist wagons. Am I able to determine which of the 2 wagons that I detected magic on, which of those 5 those 2 are?
Yes, you can. So the wagons, the 9th wagon, and then what was it that I said?
3, 5, 9, 20, and 24.
Yeah, the 9th wagon and the 20th wagon were the ones that pinged with magic. The 9th wagon had one, seemed to have one magic item in it.
Okay.
And the 20th wagon had several magic items in it.
Okay. So either during a stop for a short rest or an evening, I would like to talk to Falliger and Brock a bit about that.
Okay. All right. So
So I assume. So I
yeah,
guess.
go ahead.
Okay, so
We're
during the day, short rest. And Brock and Falliger. So that night that Thaldor and I went out to go for a walk. I found a couple of the cultist wagons were pinging off some magic, and we know that 5 of these wagons are the cultist wagons. Well, wagon number 9, there's something in that wagon that is giving off a magical essence, and then but wagon 20, I got the feeling that there were quite a few, maybe several items in there giving off some magical essence. I don't know if you guys have been able to notice anything regarding those wagons or those other wagons at all during this day.
I'm not keen to the magic type, but maybe if you're suspicious, it's time for some inspections.
Yeah, I think if any of us are able to, if we see an opportunity that presents itself, I'm not very sneaky, and I know Thaldor's a little under the weather. Are either of you guys very sneaky?
I can be, but I had something else in mind. What if we just, like I said, offered up some inspections?
How would you propose doing that?
Walk up to them and say it's time for inspections.
You think they'll listen to you?
I don't think they have a choice.
Well, hell, I ain't that sneaky, but I do got some utility I could bring forth to this endeavor.
What do you have in mind?
Well, I guess you could say I got the power of the arcane and divine on my side, and perhaps maybe we just need a little bit of invisibility.
Maybe. So I guess we've got 2 options. We can force them into an inspection, or maybe cause a diversion and see if one of us can sneak in there and see something.
I'm gonna say if they do have anything valuable or something they want to keep hidden inside, I don't think they're gonna leave it unmanned. So
Yeah.
I think, if anything, if we were to approach them and say that we are going to take some, inspections, if anything, we'll at least get a reaction, see how they act.
It's worth a shot, I guess.
Okay, as you all are talking, Brock and Falliger, The two of you hear your wagon creak a little bit as though weight shifted somehow. And as you look in the direction of that, you see your friend. The gnome, Jamna. She is there and she says, "Oh, so you guys are thinking you might want to inspect the wagons? Well, from what I've heard, this cult is pretty rough. They're probably going to raise a stink if you want to inspect the wagons, and they'll probably get the merchants to think that you might be trying to steal merchandise from some of them. So I'm not sure that's a great idea, but the one with the guitar, I kind of like his idea. Invisibility, that's cool."
Well, I guess I should say right now that I'm not sure I can do it. I've been practicing, but I may not be ready to do it yet on second thought. Perhaps you could help us in this department.
Well, sure, I'd be glad to. I've been waiting for an opportunity to kind of sneak in and take a look at the cargo in some of those wagons. I thought I might get a chance after all the commotion had happened the other night at the inn, but by the time I made my move, most people already had guards posted on their wagons, and I didn't have as much of a window. She says, "I saw you out making your rounds that night. You find anything interesting?"
Possibly. Not sure exactly what it is. There's a few wagons that piqued my curiosity.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably try to create a diversion at some point, and if you're able to like sneak in and take a look, that might work.
Well, have you identified any of the wagons that seem like they would be a likely target?
I look at Brock to see if, I'm looking for confirmation that, Brock and fellas are okay with me kind of giving it up.
Before we give up our little bit, you were the one supposed to be working on this case. What have you learned?
Well, I've, the Black Network has contacts everywhere. A couple of little towns where we have passed through, I have been able to get some additional information. It seems that the cultist activity is ranging even farther north than we suspected. We knew that they were operating in the green fields and that they were operating down in the kingdom of Amn, south of the green fields. But it also seems that there's been some strange happenings that might be related to the cult that are going on even north of Waterdeep. The towns of Yartar and Tribor and a little place called Red Larch were also mentioned to me.
Brock just looks at Mulek and shrugs.
Yeah, so wagon number 9. The ninth wagon in this caravan.
Oh, wagon number 9. Okay. That's right in the middle of the caravan. So, would you be thinking of making a diversion out in front of the caravan or out behind the caravan?
I think I could help you out with that department.
Or we could have multiple diversions.
Well, nothing quite works as well as a nice little hoedown. And Fallinger just kind of blankly looks at you guys. I guess he realizes you don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Hold down.
Is this
Well,
something
it's,
that would be done while we're moving or while we're stopped?
I think it's basically a celebration, a little bit of country/bluegrass music, and well, nothing quite distracts like a little bit of alcohol and some music, in my opinion.
You were able to fix your guitar after smashing it over that guy's head.
Well, technically, your memory is not that good, I imagine, because I did not actually hit the man with the guitar.
I'm green.
What?
If it's cracked or anything, I can try to fix it for you.
No, it's pristine. You might want to say that I purposely missed him.
And Jonah nods and says, yes. Music, alcohol, dancing jigs. Yeah, that's good. A lot of these caravan workers, especially the guards, they won't be able to resist the pull of jaunty music and some alcohol. What we need to do, and I may be able to help with this, what we need to do is we need to find some additional diversions to attract the cultists' attention. You know, they're going to be out here on the road all these days, all by themselves, with hardly any opportunities for companionship. There's a little podunk town that we'll be coming up to in a couple of days. And I just happen to know.
What town is that? As Fallinger interrupts.
What town is that? What town is that? Why, that is none other than the town of... Oh, come on.
Sleepy Fun Time.
Let's just see. We'll do this.
Whoever was pinging that's more like 20 days away, 30 days.
That's the only town, unless there's a...
each of these arrows are 4 days, I think, right?
Well, these are cities, so like that doesn't mean that there's not small towns in between, right?
That are not on the map.
Correct. This is a little town called Burlale.
Burlale. Am I saying that right? Burlale?
Burlale.
Little.
Otherwise known as Sleepy Fun Time.
Okay, so Burlale, I've put that into the Discord for you. She says, that little town is going to be just as we get to the other side of the Troll Claws. It's kind of the last town you hit before you pass the Troll Claws if you're coming south, and the first town you hit after the Troll Claws as you're going north. And I know a guy who runs a very special tavern there, where the serving maids, they're they serve more than alcohol if you're willing to pay. And he might just be willing to let me borrow their serving maids for a little bit and bring them out to the caravan before we hit the town. So
I think what you mean is what we like to call in the cloth prostitution.
oh, that has such a negative connotation to it. I prefer to think of them as independent entertainment contractors.
So prostitutes, right?
And she kind of rolls her eyes and she says, oh, well, if you're going to be vulgar, then yes, prostitutes.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to get a good, clear understanding of what your plan was. I mean, I'm no longer associated with the church on an official level, so I mean, a little bit of prostitution. I mean, that's whatever it takes, I guess.
I think what she's
My
trying to say is that the cultists are going to be tempted to maybe let down their guard for a little bit of relaxation and some fun, and that might present an opportunity for us to have advantage sneaking in a little bit and doing a little bit of peeking into their wares, so to speak, while they're busy. And we could probably, if there are one or two left to guard their stuff, I think we could cause a little diversion.
I think it's a great idea. Listen, don't get me wrong. I mean, we're talking about an organization that wants to bring Tiamat back, and God knows we don't want that. So if it takes a little bit of titty and bear to get the job done, I'm on board with it.
And Jamna says, oh, now that's news to me. What did you say?
I think what Ballinger was saying is he wants to disguise himself and go in and cause distractions up close.
About their aim of bringing Tiamat back. Now, we know that this dragon cult is always up to no good, and they've had a number of mad schemes over the centuries. In some cases, they want to entice evil dragons to attack a certain city. And obviously, Waterdeep is very wealthy, and Neverwinter is just beginning the process of rebuilding after the destruction from Mount Hotenau. So those would be kind of ripe targets. They have also in the past had as a stated goal to establish the rule of Tiamat on the material plane, but those every instance we have heard of that rumor in the past of the cult just never came to anything. So a lot of times people who study this cult, they sort of think that that's kind of a far-fetched fantasy of theirs. But they are up to something. If they're going around sacking towns and stealing treasure, they're doing it for some purpose. Maybe you're right. Maybe they are trying to bring Tiamat back.
Lady, I ain't maybe right. I'm totally right. In an intimate relationship with one of their high priestesses.
Ballinger.
Yeah.
Maybe we could fill her in when she actually offers us something valuable. Yeah.
I mean, come on now. If she wanted to screw us over, she could have done it already. I ain't beating around the bush about this. No more.
Oh, so you were told by one of the leaders of a cell that this is their plan. That is indeed very valuable information. Well, then in that case, I will tell you that my friend in the town of Burlail has in his employment perhaps as many as 24 of these independent entertainment contractors. And some of them have skills that could leave you bleeding from many places by the time they're done with you. So, I think when the camp goes to sleep tonight, I am just gonna nip off up the road on my own. I do not have any official job, and the travelers that I am riding with, they are used to not seeing me sometimes for a day or more at a time, while I go while I supposedly read in my little cubby. So I'm just going to disappear for a few days, and I will meet you all.
Excuse me. What about this wagon? You can't.
I'm bringing the girls back so that we can cause a diversion, so we can inspect the wagon.
Okay.
Why don't we just do it in the town?
I think that's what we're doing. She's going up to get it set up so that they're ready when we arrive.
Some of us are a little slow on the uptake. I apologize.
That's all right, Brock. We understand.
Yes, that's fine. That's no problem. And in fact, your intelligence, if it turns out to be true, I'm going to double what I'm paying you right now. But your intelligence is worth some money to me. And she pulls out a little pouch, and it looks like, obviously it's a gnome's pouch, so it looks like it's about the size that could hold a single coin. And she opens it, and you can tell that when it opens, it just opens like into this impossibly black, empty kind of space. And she reaches her fingers in, and she pulls out 5 platinum coins, and which is about all that she can hold in her little gnome hand. And she hands 5 platinum coins to Falliger, and she reaches in and she hands 5 platinum coins to Mulek, and she hands 5 platinum coins to Brock. And she says, if our investigation of the wagon gives us proof that indeed they are trying to bring back Tiamat, I'll give you each 5 more. And your friends too.
Sounds good.
I know, it's not a lot, but I travel light. And then she closes the coin purse back up and tucks it somewhere. It's like she tucks it into maybe an inner pocket of something, but it just like seems to completely disappear. But the coins, they're real enough. They clink and they have the right weight and everything.
So 5 platinum each?
5 platinum each. You can add.
Not too shabby.
So then she says, now, I hope that you all can avoid doing something foolish while I'm gone. And I will meet back up with the caravan a couple of days before we get to Burlail, and I'll let you know that everything is set up.
Sounds good.
All right. And then whenever IPP for each of Mulek, Brock, and Fowler. Okay. Then she will take off, and okay, she will disappear. Not literally snap her fingers and disappear, but she will run off behind the wagon, and then when you look for her, she just has gone off somewhere, and you don't see her again for several days. So, were you guys finished kind of with your discussion before she showed up?
When she leaves, I'll just remind Brock and Fowler that I only told her about wagon number 9. That was only given off one. I was only sensing one item in there of magic, but wagon 20, there's a few more. So I don't know if we want to just do this one at a time, or while she's busy with wagon 9, we try to get into wagon 20. I don't know.
The way I see it is, worst case scenario, her and her guild wants to steal the treasure. That's only going to slow down their summoning of Tiamat, so by all means.
So I guess we'll just play it by ear then.
Okay. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. So, the next day, so this is the 12th day, and on the 12th day, we are going to advance the little wagon token to the next arrow. Indeed, in the morning, you see no sign of Jamna at the campfire where she normally takes her breakfast by by one of those wagons back there. And so she normally does breakfast there, and if she doesn't make a conspicuous wave to you, she doesn't do anything to try to hide her presence from you. So you're accustomed to seeing her every morning. And this morning, however, she's gone. Then, as the wagon moves along, the next morning, okay. Okay, the next morning, you will go ahead and see the following thing. 6. Okay. All right. As you move, maybe an hour after, about an hour after you start in the morning, you get to a point where you see on both sides of the road there's sort of a low fog. And, the area is still all wet and everything from the rain of the last couple of days. And you notice that there's that the sides of the road and even most of the surface of the road itself are covered with mushrooms.
I'll pick one up and investigate it.
Okay.
Yeah,
as you...
I'm gonna help him just with my background in alchemy. And
Okay. Actually, as you move up, because the caravan just kind of comes to a halt at this point. So as you move up to the front of the caravan to investigate what's going on, make me a perception check. Anybody who's going forward.
We're always good at perception. It's crazy.
Okay. Well, something really weird is happening. Both of you notice this. Both of you notice that when that the horses and the people that are in the lead are stepping on these mushrooms. And when they do, you hear a really curious sound. The mushroom seems to almost moan like it's in pain, and a little puff of black spores comes out of it.
Can I possibly make a nature check to see if I can identify the mushrooms?
yeah,
You sure can.
same. I'm gonna help or do it as well.
What do you want in nature, Galabon?
Yes, nature.
What's your nature,
Exactly.
James?
It's 6.
Plus
Oh
6?
my
I got a
goodness.
23.
I'll help you then. Take advantage.
Okay.
I'll do it. I mean, I can do it again.
Yeah.
I got 23.
Okay. Well, with a 23, you have heard of what this is, but you have never seen this phenomena before. You know that these are very tiny versions of plant-like monsters that you have heard called shriekers. And you can see that the reaction of people is very different. Some of the drovers think that stomping on these mushrooms and making them, almost cry out in pain, they think that's funny. But a lot of the merchants are terrified that the spores are some kind of deadly poison. Now, you know that shrieker spores are not poison. But it's really, really strange. And then as you guys are both watching, you can almost see that it seems like the field of mushrooms ahead is almost getting larger. Like there's more of them growing, almost while you watch. And that's really unusual because shriekers, yes, they do grow from spores, but normally they grow in underground places, sometimes in the Underdark, sometimes just in caverns. And they grow at the rate of normal mushrooms. It's just that they usually wind up getting a lot larger than normal mushrooms. So
Can they move?
you don't think so. You think that what you've heard, that some clever Underdark denizens actually put those near their lairs as kind of alarms, because when they get fully grown, if they are disturbed, they will emit a loud shrieking sound that's as loud as a full-grown human yelling at the top of their lungs. And it's audible for far distances. And of course, if you do that underground in a cavern, that sound is going to bounce around and carry quite a ways.
Brock, this doesn't. I assume we're standing near each other. Like, Brock, this is weird. This is.
It's
I think
my.
there's some kind of alarm.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah. We need to call these guys back.
I'm going to let out the loudest whistle I can, possibly.
Okay. Go ahead and make a. We're going to call that a persuasion check to try to get people's attention.
While he's doing that, I'm going to reach into my. I'm going to reach into my bag and I'm going to pull out one of my fuzzy balls.
Okay. Well, Brock, your whistle seems to fall on deaf ears. It's the caravanners are having kind of too much fun with this, and the merchants. Actually, while you're standing there, a couple of merchants will come up to the two of you and they will say, oh, "You've got to stop them! You've got to stop them! They've got to come back! They have to stop that! They'll be killed, and the whole caravan will be doomed! Oh no! This is horrible!"
Look, fellas, we can't stop them. We have to take the lead. And I'm just going to start sprinting towards the front of the caravan.
Yeah, I'm going to follow. And I've got Casper. I've brought Casper's up ahead, flying, looking to see. I'm going to look briefly through Casper's eyes to see what I see up ahead. So I'm going to have to stop for a sec while I send Casper up to see through Casper's eyes.
Okay, so you're going to stop while you're even with the caravan, send Casper ahead and look, and then after you're looking in your own eyes, you will continue forward.
Yeah, I assume the caravan, everyone's stopped right now, right?
Yeah, like the lead wagon, the horses from the lead wagon are kind of being pulled into the area where they can stomp on some of these, and they're kind of snuffling at these mushrooms, like, oh, might be something good to eat.
So so as I see Brock run off, I'm going to run with Brock, but then I think, no, I want to see. It'll be quicker if I send Casper ahead and just look through his eyes briefly. So I'm just going to take a knee and look through Casper's eyes up ahead to see if I can see anything approaching.
Okay. All right. So you do that. Falliger, anything you want to be doing?
Just being there with the boys, I guess. I mean,
okay.
The greatest when it comes to. And
while Mulek is looking through Casper's eyes, Brock, is there anything you want to be doing?
I'm sprinting towards the front of the caravan.
Okay. All right. So, Mulek, you look through Casper's eyes and you see that this, doing a quick calculation, you see that this field of mushrooms has kind of probably only grown up within the last hour or two. So if your friend Jamna left, any time in the early part of the evening, or even, within an hour or two after midnight, she would have been long past this area before this started. and the patch of mushrooms seems to be not spreading so much north in the direction that you're going. It's maybe 200 feet wide from where you are to the northern edge, but then it is kind of spreading more off to the sides and following what from an aerial view looks kind of like a low ridge along the ground, and it's gradually spreading to either side of the road, away from that. So
I don't really see anything forward.
no,
Through Casper
nothing
then?
appears to be coming. There's no travelers or
So I quickly look to
riders
the
or anything coming.
sides. I quickly have Casper do a search on the sides.
Okay. As he goes, we'll just say he goes to the right, which would be sort of to the east, southeast from, to the east from the direction that you're going. And it just kind of goes up into the hills. There doesn't appear to be much of anything. And then he comes back, crosses the road, and goes to the left, to the west. And you notice that there's or he notices that there is a cave. That kind of the mouth of the cave faces away from the road on the left. It's maybe about 150 feet down there. And the cave is kind of a low cave. It's probably tall enough in the middle for a human to walk into it. And the whole area around the mouth of that cave is just carpeted with all of these little mushrooms. And they seem to be largest near that cave. In fact, they've been growing for probably a few hours, but they're all at least a foot tall. The mushrooms around that cave mouth are all at least a foot tall, and then they gradually get a little bit shorter as they come across the road and spread out going to the west, or going to the east. I'm sorry.
Okay. With that, I will try to whistle at Brock to get his attention.
Okay, I'll say that you guys are close enough that you can do that without any.
Yeah, I'll just yell to the west. There's a cave. I think that's where the origin of these spores are from.
And the merchant that's been trying to get Brock's attention looks at Mulek and looks at Brock and says, "You're mad. You can't be serious. No, you can't go. Yeah, we've got to turn back. We can't keep going. We'll all be killed."
Down. Pull the caravan into circular formation, defensive formation. Put everybody inside the circle. We'll be back.
And caravan foreman, he looks at you all and he nods. He says, "We're on it." And he starts shouting and giving orders to the people that work for the caravan company. Falliger, were you going to say something?
Yeah, he looks at Brock. He's going to be like, "Now listen, partner. I'm only half elf, but the good half can tell you right now it's not a good idea going to pick a fight with some goddamn drow or under dark denizens, if you will."
Someone very important to me once told me the best defense is a good offense. Are you with me?
Well, of course I'm with you. I just don't think we should go in the cave.
We can teeter along this path until we're attacked, or we can take it to them. And that's what I plan.
What time of day is it?
What time of day? Oh, it's still morning. It's yeah.
I'm with you, Brock. Let's go check it out.
I mean, why don't we just keep going? We got daylight ahead of us.
Well, the
Most
merchants
things-
are scared.
Yeah, but most things that come out of the Underdark, they don't like the sunlight. I think we should keep going.
This is recent. Something recent has caused these to grow.
Somehow, I have a feeling they know we're coming and they're expecting us. We got a lot of people that aren't combat savvy, and we're vulnerable right now.
Okay.
So you want to stop a whole caravan next to a cave in the broad daylight and investigate this here cave for what reason exactly?
I mean, I kind of feel like hitting something, but other than that, our safety.
And we don't know if Jamna is involved with this recent event. She just passed through here recently. It's suspicious. It's suspicious.
I don't know if pigs fly, but people told me they've seen it. They don't make it true.
Could you make your bird fly around again? Make sure there's no other entrances or exits.
Yeah, sure. And I'll communicate with Casper to go do go out and fly around the perimeter of these hills to see for any other entrances, and then to come back and communicate what he finds.
Okay. All right. He will do that. Now, you guys, as you're getting ready to sprint off here towards that cavern, or that cave mouth, you guys can all give me a perception check.
Would I do this through Casper or myself?
Oh, well, okay. You're looking through Casper, so not you.
Well, I'm not. I'm actually not looking through Casper.
Oh, okay, okay. So this would be for you,
Okay.
and for from your perspective on the road.
Okay.
And Falliger, if you wish, you can do so as well. Oh, wow. All three of you have pretty good rolls there. You can see that the, several of the caravan drovers, they had jumped out and they had started jumping up and down on these little mushrooms on the road a few minutes ago. But now you see they're kind of not jumping up and down anymore. And in fact, one of them kind of just is standing there and sort of hangs their head and then puts their hands up to their eyes. Not like they're in pain or anything, but like almost like they just remembered the death of a beloved family member or a dear friend or something. And it's almost like you could swear that he's about to break down and cry.
And we see that with everyone who was stomping on the mushrooms.
Well, one of them in particular is doing that, and several others are kind of they're seeming to not be so vigorous and they're jumping up and down. A few people seem to just be going and kicking at these mushrooms and still carrying on like they were, but several of them are acting a little different now for some reason.
Can I do some type of Arcana check to see if there's something else going on? Or would I know that it's strictly a nature, this isn't something I would have known normally through these mushrooms, right?
Okay. Let me see.
With my 23
You do know that while the shriekers are not considered poisonous, you do know that some alchemists will have swear that there are consciousness altering properties to shrieker spores, and that if ingested or inhaled in high enough concentrations, they can change a person's mood.
They're starting to feel the effects of these mushrooms. We need to make sure we need to round these guys up before they start hurting themselves or hurting others.
Well, I suggest you get a rope because I ain't going anywhere near them spores.
Do we know
Okay.
if they have any weapons among the merchants and whatnot?
Well, they've got the weapons that they have on them. They don't have their weapons out. They appear to, it's kind of like, imagine that this is the D&D equivalent of a bunch of kids who have just seen that somebody laid sheets and sheets and sheets and sheets of bubble wrap on the road, and that they just are like, oh, I'm gonna jump on the bubble wrap and pop the bubbles, and that's kind of the way they started acting out. But now some of them still are acting that way, but other ones, they're just kind of, they're starting to slow down, and they're starting to kind of get an odd look on their face. And this one is, got his hands out, hands on his face, and he's hanging his head, and it looks all for the world like he's about to weep.
Looks like he's starting to fall into despair.
Yeah, you don't know what the hell is going on.
Falager, you're not fond of running to the cave. You want to take care of things here while we push ahead?
Okay.
Define take care of things here.
Just waves his arms around the surroundings like.
And I will remind you that you all do see every time these people that continue to stomp on the mushrooms, every time they do, you do see little puffs of, clouds of spores rising up into the air.
I'm going to cover my mouth and nose.
Okay.
I'm going to take off my sash, my belt sash, and put it around my face like a mask. And
okay.
I'm going to for the caravan foreman. Is that what you called him?
Yeah.
I'm going to seek him out and tell him to put everyone inside their wagons immediately if he can.
Okay. And he looks up and he says, what the hell are those damn fools doing up there? And what's wrong with those other ones?
They're being affected by the mushrooms. You need to get them inside now.
Oh, gods. Well, any of you lot good with lasso? I'm not going to send anybody out in those.
We're
going to
take care of it. You just need to take care of your people while we're away.
Cover your mouth. Cover your face.
Okay. And he starts barking orders. Everybody, get bandanas or claws over your nose and mouth, and stay away from those spores. They could have a deleterious effect. And one of the merchants says, yes, we're all gonna die. And the caravan foreman says, shut up, you. We're not gonna die. Not on my watch. And the merchant is whimpers a little bit, and quickly wraps something around his face and goes into his wagon and shuts the door. Gets inside. All right. So, Brock, you were going towards the cave mouth, right?
Are we able to even get to the cave mouth without stepping on these things?
Well, you see where they are, so he could kind of go around them
Yeah,
And
they were jumping on them like bubble wrap. So if we can avoid them. Right?
yeah.
And
You can see where they're growing on the ground. It's not like they're hidden or anything.
okay.
So you can give them a wide berth and go and just at least peer into the mouth of the cave if that's what you want to do. So now while Brock is doing that, Mulek, were you going
I'm
to be
just
doing something with Osprey? Or not
with
Osprey,
Casper.
with
Yeah,
Casper.
I was just waiting for Casper to. Well, I'm going to be with Brock, kind of slowly walking up, but I'm just waiting for Casper to, when he eventually comes back,
Oh, okay.
to let us know if he sees another entrance to this area, anywhere near this area.
Okay.
Other than the cave we see.
Okay. And Falasher, you're going to just try to encourage people to get out of the field of mushrooms.
I don't like the idea of splitting up the party.
You can go with the others if you want
can
to.
definitely come with, bro.
All right, I'm not going to let you go in that damn cave by yourself, but for the record, I think it's a goddamn terrible idea.
We're just checking it out.
Okay.
We're checking it out, Fallinger.
Everybody in the caravan dies, and our mission is easier. To be honest,
I still think it's daylight, it's early morning. We got a whole day of traveling. We should just get on down the road. But whatever, let's go.
Okay. Well, as you make your way down and you look into the mouth of the cave, and at first you're not sure what you're seeing, because at first you just see like the edge of the rock, the outline of the mouth of the cave, and it looks like a solid wall of white. And then you realize that what you're actually seeing is almost a solid mass of fungus that has grown into that cave, and is kind of, for all intents and purposes, is sort of spilling out of that cave to, in the form of these little mushrooms that are growing. And as you watch, there's like a go ahead.
Before we go, so I had pulled out one of my fuzzy balls when we noticed these spores and got. So what came out was Egon, the giant weasel.
Okay.
So I've got Egon the giant weasels next to me, and he is keen on hearing and smell. So he's there with us, and I kind of commanded him to be with us and be ready and alert us to anything it smells or hears as we approach this cave.
And as I'm at the mouth, I'm going to look over at Falashur and Mulek. Do they both have something covering their nose and mouth?
Yeah, I covered. I did.
Falashur?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so they are carnivorous. I just had to look up and see.
We're playing COVID and D&D. This is amazing.
Okay. I just had to look to see if the weasel was omnivore or a carnivore or an herbivore. Looks like it's a carnivore. So, as you go along and you get to where you can see the cave, the weasel is there, and you see that there are a few rabbits, which are definitely, obviously, herbivores. And these rabbits are kind of hopping around the edge of this cave. And one of the rabbits goes up and kind of sniffs at the edge of this, big white mass of fungus, and then kind of tilts its head a little bit and looks, and it takes a bite out of the fungus. And you all At first you feel it, and then you hear it. There's sort of like a rumble. Imagine, if you will, that you were the size of a normal mosquito, and that you went and you bit a giant on the cheek, and the giant sensed that and let out a ow.
I step to the side without stepping on mushrooms so that I'm not in any direct line of sight with this cavern.
Yeah, they the kind of rumble you get is sort of this really almost subsonic growling reaction to something that, shriekers usually emit this piercing high-pitched shriek, but imagine a shrieker that was big enough to fill an entire cave, and the register that it would make if it responded to a negative stimulus. That's kind of what it had. The ground doesn't shake, but it kind of vibrates a little bit with the sound, because it's sort of that sort of register. And it's not vibrating in a way that feels like it's an earthquake or a trembler or anything like that, but it just, the noise is making that happen. And the rabbits scatter, and the weasel just sort of takes like 2 steps in the direction of one of the rabbits that's scattering, and then turns and looks at you like, is it okay?
No. Yeah, I tell it to hold.
And then it kind of, but then it comes back. And
is the fungus that the rabbit bit, does it look, is it connected to these spores, or is it of a different texture, size?
It basically seems like a gigantic version of this that is being constrained by the cavern that it has grown in.
Do we know this to be a shrieker that we hear?
Well, he told you that all of these are like little shriekers, and he normally hasn't seen anything this small as a shrieker. And he thinks, with his nature 24, he thinks this looks like the same kind of genus, but obviously on a humongous scale, a scale like he's never seen.
Is it common knowledge whether shriekers can actually move around or not, or are they stationary?
I believe, I'm just going to double check this, but I believe in the lore of D&D, I believe they do not move. But
other than causing despair through these, this change that we witnessed, do I know of anything else that these adult larger shriekers can do to a humanoid?
Nope, they are shriekers do not move. And as I said, they're kind of cultivated by more clever or intelligent denizens of the Underdark to be kind of alarms. It's like, you realize nobody would ever intentionally cultivate a shrieker this large. Something weird happened to make a shrieker grow to this kind of giant size. But short of like trying to set the thing on fire and burn it out, you don't know of really any way that you would be able to do much of anything about it. Because obviously if you move in and try to attack it, it's going to just spread all these spores. And if this thing is indeed filling up this entire cave, you have no idea how deep this cave is, how far it goes back. You could be here for days just trying to hack at this stupid thing.
Explain the ground right outside the cave entrance. Is it just dirt for a few feet? Is it grass all the way to the entrance? Like, what is the ground texture?
It's kind of this area here is sort of the foothills of what they call the Troll Claws, which is a little range of hills. Those are rocky, rolling kind of hills. So there's a few little boulders, and when I say little boulders, I mean like 2-3 foot boulders.
I mean specifically like the actual ground right outside the entrance. Like, is it grass?
Patchy vegetation, some loose sandy or rocky soil. Like little ground cover stuff, like little sort of creepers and of the normal vegetation variety, and some grasses, tufts of grass growing up, and then there's a few trees off over there and some shrubs off over that way.
All right, I'm going to take my hunting trap out of my pack, and I'm going to place it right outside of the entrance. I'm going to try to hide it. If it's not possible, I'll just lay it in plain sight. Doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. So
you said this thing is like blocking the way, right? It's like a wall.
It's like filling up the entire mouth of the cave.
Yeah, there's no way we can get in unless we just start hacking this thing or burning it out.
Right, and you know that the instant you do that, it's going to keep emitting this noise, and it's also going to emit a bunch of spores.
Yeah, Brock,
which means that you guys would have to do saving throws.
Brock, I don't think this is a good idea. If we try to do anything with this, it's not only going to, alarm whatever this was set up to alarm, but it's also going to slow us down and potentially cause harm to us. I
understand what you're saying. My fear is that we continue on and we've set the alarm. Nightfall comes, we all bed down, and then we're attacked in the middle of the night.
So I think what we do is wait till Casper comes back, see if Casper noticed any other entrances that we might be able to get through, and if not, if not, we set up extra watches at night, especially to our rear, because of this.
I was going to say, given the nature of this entrance to this cave, I wouldn't be surprised if there's sinkholes or something that come up out of the ground, which might not be visible to Casper. I'm not sure.
Possibly.
Yeah, while you guys are talking, in fact, Casper does come back, and, through the means of communicating with him that you have, you realize he hasn't seen any other cave entrances that would appear to in any way be connected to this. I believe that Brock's thinking is to put a trap here, either to keep people from trying to go in or to trap people that might be trying to come out.
My thought was, if they were to rush out, maybe they won't check the ground and they'll just run right into it.
All right. But then other than that, not really trying to do anything offensive against this.
Correct.
Against this entity or whatever it is.
I just looked at Mulek and I say, I don't think there's much we can do down there. I think our best bet's to travel through the night. I wouldn't want to bed down tonight, to be honest. And just put as much distance as we can between us and this.
Well, I know that we've got that town up ahead. I'm not sure how much, but
I don't think beings like this would attack us in a town. I think we'll be safe if we can reach it.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what we can do, and let's head back. I don't think it's sort of a dead end here.
I think the problem is going to be able to get the caravan to move through the night with everyone acting crazy. I mean, you saw.
Yeah.
I mean, we got all day, gentlemen. We're going to get some distance.
And who's
What-
going to man the caravan, the wagons, if they're all acting the way they were?
Well,
What percentage did we see?
You saw maybe somewhere between between 15 and 24 people out there, and you saw maybe a handful of them seem to be having a real negative reaction to this. The rest of them seem to just be continuing to smash the things. Now that was when you left, which was by this time that's probably a half hour ago or more that you left to come and check on this, because you guys have been poking around and looking and checking everything out real carefully. So by the time you get back, who knows what you'll find.
I say we hightail it back, and
Okay.
I agree with you, Brock. Let's just get some distance.
If we do that, I will pick up my hunting trap if we're leaving.
Okay. All right. So you grab your hunting trap and you guys go back. And when you get back, you do see that the caravan foreman does have the wagons formed in a circle. He has pulled everybody that you can see that's outside the wagon still has face coverings on. So they are all doing that, including, as you notice, there's now a more organized group. There's a knot of about 8 people who appear to be, a couple of them are cultists that you recognize. They have coverings over their faces, and the rest of them appear to be workers from the caravan. They are systematically going forward along the road and clearing a path by destroying some of these mushrooms. Now, sitting over there, with their heads kind of hanging down, you see about 8 people. And 2 of them are openly weeping. And the other, the rest of them are just sort of looking down at the ground like they are in some sort of stunned silence, like they have no idea what just happened. And they, as you come up, a couple of those people that are just sitting there with sort of dazed looks, they look up at you, and as they do, you can see that their eyes are kind of watery and puffy, and it looks like they're kind of on the verge of tears. And most of the merchants are in their wagons with the doors closed, and the wagon guards that are not clearing a path on the road are standing near the caravan foreman as he's continuing to try to give reassurance and orders. Now the adventurers have gone to check and see if they can determine what's going on. They should be back soon, and as soon as we get a path cleared and we know what's going on, if it's at all safe, I'm going to see if we can't try to get as much distance between ourselves and this patch as we can. I mean, we can't go back. There are people counting on us in Waterdeep to bring these goods, and we're being paid to take the goods to Waterdeep. We're not being paid to turn around and go back to Baldur's Gate. That's going to be awful. And most of the merchants are just scared, but I think if we get through this, they will see that there's no more danger, and we can be on our way. And then he looks up as you all come. There you are. Were you able to learn anything?
We were. I think Mulek might be able to explain it better than I.
Well, obviously, we know that these mushrooms are emitting some spores that are having an effect, a downer effect on some of our caravan members. It seems that these mushrooms are tied to a larger mushroom up in those hills, and it's our opinion that we just head forward and keep continuing. Um, we may want to set up extra watches for the next few nights, just in case. But otherwise, there's nothing here. Recommend we just keep moving forward.
We're left to believe that these mushrooms are an alarm system set for whatever lies beneath the cave. We believe that we won't be attacked until nightfall, which brings us to the conclusion that we should travel through the night as fast as we can and try to make it as much distance as we can between us and this cave. Have you been able to take account of your wagon masters? Or what would you call wagon master? A wagon driver? What?
Yeah, the drovers.
The drovers, yeah.
And he says, yes, most of the drovers are right here, following orders after getting the wagons in a circle. Now, some of the merchants, most of the merchants are in their wagons, but a couple of the merchants, and he points up at the knot of people that are smashing the mushrooms on the road. Some of them were insistent that several people help them clear a path, and I insisted that they wear face coverings, and at least they're doing that, and they don't seem to be suffering any ill effects. But they are, as you can see, they are not only stomping down the mushrooms, but then scraping the residue off to either side of the path of travel, and it doesn't look like once they're smashed, it doesn't look like they're coming back, at least not right away. So hopefully we can get through and get on without any more of these being here. And then he looks at Mulek and he says, "Do you think that's safe?"
If we haven't seen any effects from that with their coverings, I believe that we're okay. But there doesn't appear to be any immediate danger, but I would say that once we have a clear passage, we get out of here as fast as we can.
And there is one curious thing that you got a 23 on your nature check, so I'll give you this. You know that large herbivores, so creatures like horses, like cows, things like that, their digestive and respiratory systems are such that and possibly, who knows, the way their brains work, they do not suffer the kind of mood altering effects that humanoids do, and they seem to just kind of love the taste of Shrieker. It's like if you give a horse a handful of Shrieker, it's kind of almost like sugar cubes for it. They just really like it. And cows will like it too. So you suspect that if some sort of herd of wild goats, wild sheep, wild horses, wild cattle, or even domesticated cattle come down here, they're going to eventually find this and eat all this shit up, and it's not going to be a problem long term. But it's kind of weird how this all happened, and where it all came from, and why it occurred.
Yeah. So the good thing is there shouldn't be any effect to our animals.
Oh, well, that's good.
In fact, if they want to eat some, let them eat it. It won't cause any harm. But we need to, for ourselves, we need to make sure that we're not breathing these spores in.
Yes, I think most of my drovers are just going to want to get their animals past this as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Are all of yours accounted for?
He looks. There's like 4 of the drovers that are sitting there looking all morose. The rest of them that belong to the caravan company are standing around the caravan master. And you guys can see, and I'm just going to say that this is stuff that Sardrum would, or Saldor would point out to you guys that some of the people up there whacking the mushrooms are members of the cult that are driving the cult wagons, and a couple of the others are mercenary guards, and a couple of the others are cult members that are acting as guards on wagons. So it seems to be mostly a cult-led activity to blaze a path through these mushrooms. And like I said, they're wearing face coverings, and there is in fact one of the people that's a member of the cult that's sitting in that group over there that's looking all sad and forlorn, along with the others. So
Is there
it
still
seems
a group of people that are like still taking the effects of the mushrooms?
Yeah, they're all sitting over there. But no, there don't appear to be any additional cases at this point.
I think the best bet's to clear out your front wagon, put all the sick inside, so that we all have eyes on that wagon and we continue forth. If you have any drovers that are absent, we can take their place.
Okay, well that's very kind of you. Yes. So in a few minutes, maybe takes another 5 minutes, they finish clearing out a path up the road, and they come back, and he starts barking orders to rearrange stuff in the wagon so that these 8 people can go sit up in that wagon, and it's like, and one of them is just sitting there, and it's just not fair. I don't know. Why? Is just weeping and crying and sobbing, and another one's like, wiping a snotty nose, and is having is kind of like wiping tears away from their eyes, and looks at you and says, I haven't felt like this since my old dog Yeller died. That was the best hunting dog I ever had.
Go to your happy place.
Oh, there's no place happy now. Oh, this just is horrible. It's horrible. So, they eventually get, whether they eventually respond to cajoling and prodding, or whether they have to be physically picked up and taken, they all get put into that front wagon, and they seem like a really sad lot. But then
while we're doing that, I go up to the guy who lost his dog. He's remembering his dog. I'm like,
okay,
I understand how it can be to lose a pet. Here, I've got my pet weasel here. His name's Egon. He's very friendly. he's my comfort animal. He'll help cheer you up. And I look over to Egon and I say, hey, Egon, why don't you hop up in that way, cheer these men up? And so Egon will jump up and kind of nuzzle with them and try to be friendly with these guys.
Okay, and as you do, you see this guy just sitting there, sort of stroking the fur of the weasel and going, "Oh, that's a good puppy. That's a good puppy." And it just and kind of absently is just sort of scratching it behind the ears and just sort of looking at it, and Egon is just sort of, and sort of doing that thing, sniffing around like, where's something to eat? And so maybe at some point during the day you can take some kibbles or something up there that they can give to Egon.
Yeah, we'll make sure Egon is friendly with them. He's taken care of, and he's kind of comfort him as much as possible. So.
Okay, so the wagon pushes past this area of mushrooms and rolls on for the rest of the day. And we come to the evening. And let's go ahead and see what you guys would want to do about the watches. What do you want to recommend either to the rest of the caravan or for yourselves in terms of watches?
Do you do the levels of exhaustion if you stay up all night?
That kicks in after a bit. The answer is yes, and that kicks in after a bit. Let me just go ahead and double check what the rules are on that. Okay.
100%. So whatever effects takes place, that's what happens.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, okay. He's doing that. I will use the time during the break to just double check how long it takes for that to kick in. I think that if you deprive yourself of rest on one night, I don't think that incurs exhaustion. But if you try to do it multiple nights in a row, then you have to start doing things like con checks. And if you succeed on the con check, then you do start incurring exhaustion levels. But I don't know how long it takes for that to start to kick in. Because basically the con check is forcing yourself to stay awake even when your body desperately wants to sleep. And if you power through that, then you start getting the physical effects of exhaustion. So I am going to go ahead and say let's take our break now. I have 33 after the hour. Let's go ahead and take until 45 after the hour. So we'll take a little over 10 minutes. Hey, for chat, thank you guys for hanging out with us this evening. Have a couple of viewers on. We are going to take our break. I am going to put on some music. I'm not sure if any of the players are monitoring the Twitch or not, but feel free to ask some questions, and when I get back from my break, I will try to answer those, or the players can answer them for you. So let me go ahead and put the music on, and then we will be back at 45 after.
Hello.
Hello.
So from what I've seen, Gally, the levels of exhaustion are set, and with the effects that happen with each level. As far as sleep deprivation, there doesn't seem to be any plug-in to that, so it's kind of like a DM's call for that.
Yeah, okay. Then here's the way we'll run with this, and I'll just go ahead and put it in the Discord so that we'll... Actually, I'll put it in the table rules channel. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So, sleep deprivation. Skip one. Okay. Anytime you skip 8 hours of rest, you do not regain the features or spells that recharge on a long rest.
Or short
That's
rest?
first.
Would that still be considered?
A long rest or a short rest. Yeah, long rest or a short rest. That's a good point there. Okay. If you skip 8 hours of rest one time, you will not suffer any levels of exhaustion. If you skip 8 hours of rest 2 nights in a row, or 2 nights in any 5-night period, you must make a
Constitution.
a Constitution
It's perfect. This
save.
is exactly what I read in Reddit. You're mirroring the other DM's thoughts, so that's perfect.
Yeah, so con save of DC 15.
Yep.
And then success means you stay awake, but you suffer 1 level of exhaustion. Once you have 1 level of exhaustion, the DC for the con save rises by 2
Yep.
each successive night, and success means you suffer an additional.
If I weren't an old school player, I would guess that you weren't an old school DM, Gally.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things like where back in the day people would be like, well, how can I get away with not having my character rest? And it's like, okay, you can try it, but there's gonna be,
do it in real life.
There's gonna be consequences.
Yeah, you don't feel the same. You don't.
Yeah. And that's all we need to do, because at some point the dice are going to fail you. You're going to fail that con save, and you're going to not be able to stay awake.
The great thing about that is the only reason that you're staying awake in the D&D session is because there's something going on, right? So you're taking a risk, and sometimes that risk does not pay off, and it's got to have a price.
Right. And then exhaustion recovery follows the standard rules.
Yeah, you might want to put that in just so people don't have to look it up.
Okay.
Of exhaustion.
Where are you putting that? In Discord? Table rules?
Yeah, I haven't. Okay, I haven't hit enter on it yet, but I will in a moment. Okay, so how do you recover? Okay, finishing a long rest reduces
1 level.
Yep. Okay. So then standard rules, and then finishing a long rest reduces a creature's exhaustion level by 1, provided that creatures also ingest some food and drink. Also, being raised from the dead reduces the creature's exhaustion level by 1. Okay.
Yeah, you
interesting.
can search exhaustion in the compendium.
Yeah.
List.
Yeah. So sleep, deprivation, and exhaustion. Okay, and this is for the benefit of the other players. This is in the table rules channel in Discord. So rules on that. Great. Okay. Hey, Chris, if Brock does not have inspiration, go ahead and give him inspiration.
Can I take like an extra super?
No, but if there's one of the other players that doesn't have it, you can give it to their character.
We're all amazing. I'm sure they do.
Okay.
Actually, you're here, James. Do you have inspiration?
Yeah, I do. Thanks.
I think we all do, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, now I'm going to go ahead, since we are done with the interlude, I am going to go ahead and turn off the music, and I will put the stream back on the actual map. All right. So then so you guys set the watches, and Brock, you do stay awake this night, and you see that everybody has kind of heeded the warning of the caravan master, and there are additional guards on the wagons, and there's also among the caravan guards, there's a patrol, and the patrol just does a loop around the caravan camp about every 15 minutes or so. They just patrol the border of the perimeter of the caravan camp, and they it looks like every couple of hours they swap out, and so it's 2 people walking around. They appear to be vigilant, and every 2 hours those guys change, and they notice you guys over there, watching, and they, will just give you a little wave, and as they do to the people that are guarding other wagons. I
was going to also, since I've got gone today, the people that he was comforting, are they asleep now?
Asleep? Yeah, they seem pretty lethargic for the most part. So it doesn't take long after the caravan stops for the day that they kind of fall asleep. And of course, I think, what is it, at midnight, or is it at the morning?
It's at dawn. So I was
going
to tell Egon to and let the other sentries patrols know that I've got my giant weasel out, kind of patrolling the area as well, to give alerts if it smells.
Okay.
Here's
all right.
And then I've got Casper also in the air.
Sure.
Doing its thing.
So the night passes, and maybe an hour or 2 before dawn, you see Egan trundles up to the wagon where you guys are, and sort of hangs out there for the last hour or 2 that it's there before it disappears. And I'm going to say, I think the way that the rules work is that just whenever the animal disappears, another mystic ball of fluff appears in the in the bag, but in a case like this, I will allow you to determine, does the animal just vanish back to its plane and mystically there's a new puffball in there, or does the animal turn into a puffball that you can pick up and throw back in the bag? That's going to be up to you. How do you want your bag to work in these situations?
I expect thanks, Mulek. Thank card.
The way that I kind of envision is the bag is constantly fuzzy. There's at least 8. So
right, but I think if you use them all in a day, then you can't use them until the next dawn, right?
Well, you can only use 3 a day.
Oh, you can only use 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I envision that if you were to look in the bag, you would see a bundle of balls, right? Fuzzy balls. But if you were to pull out more than 3, they would not activate. They wouldn't do anything. And then at dawn, Egon would just sort of just slowly fade away. But I wouldn't really notice a big difference of the balls in the bag. And
okay, all right.
And if I went to reach in, because it's all by chance, right? So it's like if I were to reach in there, it could be Egon could come back, or it could be some other balls. So I don't really notice a change. It's just that if I look in, I would see a bundle of fuzzy balls, but that's about it.
Okay, all right. So we will just do it that way. I just figured. Since we haven't played with that magic item much, most of the time I like to let players put a little personal spin on spells and magic items, as long as it doesn't break the power or the lore of the game.
You could have had Pokeballs, bro.
What's that?
Could have had Pokeballs.
Pokeballs?
Yeah, I take it from James's reaction. He hasn't played Pokemon.
No idea.
Pokemon?
Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm not going to go. It doesn't turn into another ball.
Yeah.
These guys, because sometimes they'll run off. I'll say, hey, I don't need to go, be free, right? But if it were to turn into a ball, there's no way I could.
But then you can trick Gary into gaining extra minions.
No. There's rules. I'm not gonna make this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the DM can give inspiration, and DM can take it away. So yeah. No, that's not worth taking away inspiration for. All right. So the thing that you do notice during the night is most of the time there's conversation among the merchants when you stop for the day around the campfires before they all turn in. When you stop on this particular night, there's no conversation. Right. They're very quiet. They seem kind of almost to look over their shoulders. They sort of jump at shadows a little bit until they turn in. And the merchants, to a man or woman, they do not, none of them sleep outside. Some of them tend to sleep underneath their wagons, almost as if being under the wagon, they would better be able to detect if somebody tries to mess with the wagon. They all go inside the wagons and bed down for the night. So each one goes inside his or her own wagon and sleeps. And they are, when the morning dawns the next day, they all still seem a little bit apprehensive or anxious. So they come back, and you notice that in that lead wagon, the people who were affected, they're still just like really down. And one of them, I presume at some point, maybe at breakfast, one of them will come down to your wagon looking, and he looks, it's the guy who lost his dog. the guy who was crying over his dog. And he looks, if anything, even more devastated than he did when he was telling you about losing his dog. And he, he kind of gets close to your wagon and he sort of hesitates and he looks and then he seems to be wondering whether he should approach you guys or not. And it seems like after a really long, very obvious hesitation, that he doesn't seem to realize how long and how obvious it is, he takes one step forward and then he turns around and he starts to try to walk away. But it's really clear. Okay.
I just yell, do I know his name by chance?
Let us say that his name is. Let's say that his name is. Let's say that his name is Sam.
Sam.
And Sam says, okay, sad caravan guard is named Sam. Okay. Sam says, what is it? What
Come
is
close.
it? And he kind of looks really, really sheepish, and he's got this incredibly guilty look on his face.
You're safe here. Come here.
Oh, it's happened again.
What troubles you, son?
And he turns and he looks at you, and he just starts, tears just start streaming down his face, and he says, I'm so sorry, Mr. Hill. I lost your weasel. He was with me when I fell asleep last night.
My friend, you didn't lose Egon. Egon's good. Thank you for being a friend for Egon.
Mulek, should I whack him on the head?
I'm so sorry.
I whack him.
Ow!
Hey, my friend, Egon's fine. You didn't lose him. He's just out. He's out wandering the wilds. He's good. He's fine. Thank you for being a friend, Julian.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. You did not lose him. He is good.
Sam, you need to take refuge in this front wagon here. Take a rest. We have you covered. Trust me.
Okay.
Wait, sleep off. You'll be fine.
Okay. And he kind of crawls back up in the wagon, and he just takes a kind of a cloak or something. He just presses it to his face, and he just leans over into like a big bale of cotton or something like that, and he just starts weeping into it as you guys head away from the wagon. And the rest of the people in that wagon, they all look about as bad as they did the day before.
Mulek, I don't know how much time left in me. How long do we have?
What do you mean?
Until we reach the town, I can't deal with this much longer.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine it's much farther.
Your bird, do you not have him out in the air? Does he not see anything?
I don't know. Let me see. I mean, he was up all night last night.
So still another day at least.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, if you want to get some shut eye, why don't you rest your eyes?
Just do me a favor. Keep an eye on this. The wagon master. Make sure he has everything he needs. Make sure the troop out front has face coverings. Make sure the ill are in this front wagon. I need a rest. Thank you.
Yeah, take a rest, Brock. I got it. And Falliger, sure, he can help take a rest or take a watch too.
Don't let him touch me. He's
Eyes
kind of
open.
sneaky in that way.
Okay, so this is the 13th day out of Baldur's Gate. 13th day passes uneventfully. And when the night comes, you see that most of the merchants, they're a little quieter than normal, but they're not quite as bad as they were the night before. So they seem to be feeling a little bit more like, there's not going to be a snark or a grumpkin that's going to jump out from something and try to eat them in the middle of the night.
Are we still encountering the mushrooms?
Oh, no.
We passed the mushrooms
It was
a long
that.
time
It was that you passed the mushrooms at the morning of that day. It was just like that 200-foot wide patch on the road that was all there was, and it stretched out perpendicular to the road. It stretched out a long
It's like tire
ways,
stakes, the things that shred tires that the police throw on the road. It was like kind of just laid across the road for a bit. That's all it was.
Out of character, there was some serious treasure down in that cave. I'm saying.
Well, I mean, we could have spent all day there just burning that thing apart.
Possibly there was.
There was.
Possibly there was. And, you would have had to make a lot more con checks and, things like that. So you guys may have found something, and you may have just found a whole mess of trouble. Who knows? So this is the 13th day. It passes. The night, like I said, a little bit better. Not so much, not so many people are, the merchants seem in a little bit better spirits, but they do not, seem all that bad. Then the morning of the 14th day. That morning dawns, and the thing that you notice on the morning of the 14th day is, hey, look, over there by her accustomed campfire, you see your friend Jamna. So apparently she's back. She was gone for 2 mornings. Morning of the 12th day and the morning of the 13th day. But now on the morning of the 14th day, she's back. And so she... Oh, I'm sorry. 13th day and the 14th day she's gone. Morning of the 15th day she's back. That's what I mean. I was getting my dates confused there. So, and each morning or each evening, so the 13th night, the merchants are a little bit more relaxed than they were. Then the 14th night, they're a little bit more relaxed than they were the previous night. But there's like maybe half of them are still sleeping inside their wagons, and the other half have kind of gone back to their normal habits. If they sleep outside, they sleep outside. So the morning of the 15th day, Jamna is back, and she doesn't draw any attention to herself or make any movement towards you all, but clearly she's here now.
We know how long it is until the next town?
She said 4 days, so that would probably mean sometime on the 16th day. So not today, but then tomorrow you should be arriving in that town.
Jamna, come here.
Oh, hello. And she says, something seems different. Did
Yeah.
something happen while I was gone?
Yeah, in the wake of your travel, we encountered a bunch of spores with a cave and nasty thing that wanted to kill us all. You know anything about that?
Spores. Spores, like what? Like
Out of character, what's the name of the thing?
shriekers.
Shriek-
That's what
Shriekers.
Mulek would have called them as shriekers.
A bunch of mini shriekers, and that
Shrieker
led us to a
spores.
cave with a giant shrieker. Yes.
Shrieker
Did you not
spores.
pass that?
I didn't notice any. She said, "You didn't grab any of those. You didn't grab any of those spores, by the way, did you?"
I wanted to.
Oh,
We were in a
crap.
hurry.
Out of character, I was going to do that before we left, but I forgot.
I was going to do that as well, but I didn't say it. So fuck.
Oh well. How many days ago did you pass it?
2.
Oh Jesus, that's oh.
I'm telling you, a field of them. The whole path. There was hundreds, thousands, maybe.
Oh, Lathander's blessing. That I wish you guys had gotten some of those words. You know, there are alchemists that'll pay really good money for those because you can really make some people. You know, you mix them the right way with the right compounds, and you can really change the way people feel.
If nothing else, it's good horse feed. Am I right?
Oh yeah, but who would waste it on horses when you can?
I mean, that's the worst case.
Make some mood altering substances.
Worst case scenario.
Talking gold here.
We had a bunch of people that fell under the spell, if you will, and we had to keep moving. So it is what it is.
God, you mean some damned fools didn't know what they were doing, and they went and they released and they inhaled all the spores just without them being prepared?
More importantly, we found a cave that led down, and we can hear the giant below, the giant shrieker below. I'm telling you, if you can send some of your people back there, there's got to be fallen heroes, if nothing else. You can probably fetch a good penny back there. 2 days back.
2 days back. 2 days back. Oh my God.
West side of the road.
Oh my God. You know, it's said, it's a little known fact, but it's said that the city of Luskan was founded on the profits of people who traded in rare fungi, hallucinogenic fungi. There's seriously good money in that. If you ever come across anything like that again, you stop up your nose, you stop up your mouth, you do anything you can to. I don't care if you are about to die from lack of breath, but you get some of these spores because there's good money in it, I tell you.
Listen, my good friend Morik, the rogue in Luskan, told me everything I need to know about these. We had some ill adventures with us. We couldn't stop. I had to take care of them, and we had to push forward. I understand.
Yeah. Okay, well, all right. Nothing you could have done. But anyway, the good news is, up the road there in Burlail, everything is ready.
Everything's according to plan.
Yeah. My friend has a lot of nice girls up there, and I tell you what, if some of the people in the caravan have inhaled unprocessed shrieker spores, they're probably going to be down in the dumps for a 10-day or more. And you know, my friends' girls know how to cheer people up. So yeah, this is going to be a good distraction.
Our friend Fowler's here. You saw him in the chainmail and pretty and all with the guitar. He's going to need at least 4 of your females. I'm just saying.
Well, of course they're gonna be dancing when he plays the jigs. I mean, that's the whole.
He's going to play for a little while, but that guitar is going to be put away. And then 4 of your girls are going to be not, and you know what I'm saying.
Well, as long as he pays them, they're not on my payroll. He's on his own.
That's what I'm talking to you about right now.
Rates.
That's our agreement, right? We're friends. You cut us deals, we cut you deals. I'm telling you right now, he's going to need at least 4 of them.
I tell you what, if we look in those wagons and we find proof of what he's talking about with trying to bring Tiamat back, yeah, I'll pay for 4 girls in every town we go to between here and Waterdeep.
I'm telling you right now, we started out in Baldur's Gate, went around the loop. Our words are next to none. You're going to find it, I promise you.
All right. Well,
you need to make a promise to me you're not going to take that treasure and disappear.
I give you my word,
if you
as
do,
a member of the Zentarum, that I am on Zentarum business. I would have my hands cut off if I tried to take something that the Zentarum wanted me to observe and not touch.
Listen, I understand what your obligations are. If you decide to take that treasure, I'm okay with it. We are okay with it. If you leave half of it. Whatever you take, leave half. The only reason you have the knowledge that we have given you is the fact that we are alive. And the fact that we are alive is the fact that certain people have saved our lives. So if you were to take that treasure, leave half, and we're good.
Okay, I swear to you that at least half of the treasure will still be there after I inspect it. If any of it is gone, don't look at me because I'm not taking it. I'm just reporting to my superiors what we locate and what intelligence we can find between here and Waterdeep.
I can understand that.
I will be giving a full report to the Zentarum and Waterdeep. And hey, if any of you are not part of one of the factions and you want in on some lucrative opportunities, I'll introduce you to some people in the network up in Waterdeep. They may be able to put in a good word, or I can put in a good word for you with them. And
let's save that for later. After
okay,
done.
All right, that's fine with me.
Just keep in mind we're both our tails are on the line here. If this group is to make it north with their treasure, if Tiamat's raised, whole of Sword Coast, if not the whole plane of existence, is at stake. So we're on the same team.
Oh yeah, I mean the Tiamat, she's pretty horrible. And if you could just imagine every chromatic dragon, answering to her call, the amount of destruction she could unleash through them, not to mention what she can do herself as a goddess. Yeah, that would be pretty horrible for everybody.
So we're on the same page.
Oh yeah, and I'll bet you dollars to bunt cakes that or I'll bet you gold pieces to bunt cakes that that these cultists, that if they were actually dumb enough and lucky enough to raise Tiamat to the natural world, they would probably be among the first on the menu. She has no loyalty to them.
And you understand our concern. If I recall our first conversation, our goal we set out to you was to look above and beyond to find out their leaders because we were uncertain of their location because they disappeared.
Absolutely.
What have you discovered about that?
Well, I've left some messages in Belial, and the network will be spreading those. Perhaps we will know something by the time we reach Belial, and if not, then there are a few more towns on the road. We will be, doubtless, we will be stopping at Dragonspear Castle, certainly at Daggerford, and there are towns on the way between Belial and each of them. I'm certain that by the time we get to Waterdeep, we will know a little something about what has transpired.
And in the short sight, your women are going to do their work?
Oh, yes, they trust me. My friends' girls are really good at distracting caravan drivers. They have lots of practice, and they have become expert at all the ways that lonely men on the road can be distracted, if you will.
Well, if they've mentioned any extra, course of coin, just let them know that there's extra platinum that could be spent. And Brock winks.
She says, very well. And so then she takes her leave. And you go on to the 15th day. 15th day is uneventful. And then the mood actually, as the morning of the 16th day dawns, the mood among the merchants is much improved because they realize that they will be getting, with the pace they're going, they realize they will be getting to Belial by the end of the day, or Berlail, I'm sorry, Berlail by the end of the day, and that there's a really good inn there that that a couple of the merchants, you see them sort of elbowing each other and say that they have a wonderful selection on the menu. And, they kind of chuckle knowingly to each other when they say that. And so early in the afternoon, indeed, you see the first the outskirts of Berlail, and it's a town that has a wooden wall around it, and the wall has gates, but the way the grass is kind of grown up around the gates, it doesn't look like these gates get closed very often. So the road just goes through, and there's not like a guard or anything at the gates. But there are towers up there. So it's kind of here in a town that could be guarded or could be fortified, but it doesn't look like people really pay that much attention on day to day because the tradeway gets so much merchant traffic up and down that it would be more hassle than used to try to maintain the gates and keep them closed. They're probably just used in emergencies. So you come into the town, and indeed you get to a a place that is called the Olive Mantle Tavern and Spa.
Could you update the wagon on the map, please?
Actually, we're still on the same arrow. We're just at
Oh,
the end of that
okay.
arrow. Every one of those arrows is 4 days. So,
Gotcha.
Olive, Mantle, Tavern, and Spa. That is the establishment run by Jamna's friend in Berlail. Okay, so you get there, and like I said, most of the merchants, they are aware of this place, and you see that there are indeed women dressed as serving maids that are standing kind of outside, and as the caravan pulls up, they sort of put on these bright smiles, and there's a few people in the town, and they start coming out to meet the caravan, and as the doors to the tavern open, and a few more girls come out, and so some of the merchants who clearly go this way, often they will seem to recognize a couple of the girls, and you hear a couple of people call out names. For example, you'll maybe hear a merchant call out for Sailfiend or Zarantha, and you notice that a particular woman, her head turns in the direction of the voice, and this smile comes out, and she runs over to him and throws her arms around his neck, and he'll pick her up and spin her around, and she'll say, "Oh, I've been so waiting for you to come back. I've missed you so much since you came through on your trip south." And they'll say things to the equivalent of, "Oh yeah, I couldn't wait to get back." And there's clearly there's fondness on the part of the caravan merchants for these girls, and these girls are very convincing in their affection for the merchants as well. And so, as they over the next few minutes, more and more women kind of come out of the tavern or come from areas around the tavern, and they start making their way over to the wagons, and there's not a single male of any species that doesn't have at least one of these girls chatting him up. And you look in the front wagon there, where all of the people who've been affected by these spores are, and you see Sam, and Sam is there, and there's this really attractive brunette. She's probably a half elf. She's just a little hint of a point on the top of her ears, and she is holding Sam's head, cuddled to her very ample bosom, and she is stroking his hair, and he's just kind of sobbing, and and she has this look like, okay, well, this one is going to take a little bit of work. But you don't doubt from looking at her that she's up to the task. So yeah, very quickly, and despite actually, there's not really a call by the merchants to ask people to guard the carrot because they're all sort of distracted by the girls, and it's the caravan master. He gets his guards, the people that actually work for the caravan company, he has to yell at them to make them listen to discipline, and he puts them on a strict rotation. And he is not foolish enough to try to forbid them to go into the tavern or, fraternize with the girls who work there. But he is going to make damn sure that some people stay out with the wagons while other people go in there. And that if they go in there, they have a time limit, and they've got to come out so that other people can go in. So
during this all this time, Mulek would have been eyeing wagon 20 and would have kind of followed where that wagon ended up and would have taken a keen note of who was on that wagon,
Okay.
what they look like, how many, and just paid attention to wagon number 20.
Okay, so wagon number 20, it goes over, and we'll just say that it gets parked over on the south side of the tavern, the inn. The horses get unhitched, and there are some stable hands. And the surprising thing is that the stable hands here, most of them appear to be female as well. And so when they, and it's like the clothing that they wear, it's like you're not sure how good that is at actually protecting them. Most stable hands wear stuff to keep, stains and stuff off of them. Well, these outfits appear to reveal a little bit more skin than most stable hands show. And these stable hands pay nearly as much attention to the grooms as they do to the horses. And when the grooms suggest that maybe they should give some special instructions to the stable hands about how to care for the horses, they're like, oh yes, come on, I've got to go up to the hayloft and put some hay down for it. I'm sure you could help me with that. And so they're like, oh yeah, we could help you with that. And so they sort of head off that way. You see that the person who is in charge of that wagon, he's looking very frustrated, and he's kind of a man that has a little bit of a weaselly face, sort of very thin, pinched features, kind of a beak of a nose, and dark, beady eyes. And he gets a little exasperated as the people go off with the horses and the stable hands. He keeps 2 people with him to tie down the wagon, and then as they are doing that, 3 serving girls come outside, and they're carrying a large tray that has 3 mugs, and the mugs have ale in them. And they said, oh, well, you guys are so diligent. You're working so hard. You must be working up a big thirst. Here, have some nice, cool ale. And so the 2 guys that are helping him were like, that's great. And so when they go up, and take the ale, then the girls they'll touch him on their cheeks, like, "Oh, you're so strong." And have you worked on the caravan long? And clearly starting to do that. And then those guys, they're just starting to forget everything about what they're supposed to be doing, paying attention to the wagon. Weaselface, he tries to resist, but it doesn't take long before one girl finds the right thing to say that kind of gets his attention focused squarely on her, and then he allows himself to sort of be led away and into the tavern, and pretty much the wagon is sitting there in between 3 or 4 other wagons that are all sort of right there in a row. And it seems to be that the caravan, for the most part, has taken the tactic of, nobody would come up and try to hit all of the wagons at once. So if we put them all here together, that's kind of the safest thing we can do. And it's still kind of late afternoon, so there are townsfolk kind of milling about, including, the occasional guard that sort of walks around the town on their sort of normal rounds and whatnot. But Mulek can observe and try to figure out how long it takes between passages of the guards, if he has a mind to do that.
Yeah. So this is all right. Well, I'm going to do it. I want to find where no one's looking. I'm going to cast Disguise Self, and I'm going to make myself look like the guy that just got carried up into the hayloft. And,
Okay.
And when I find a good open, I'll walk up to that wagon and that was, because I imagine there's still the 2 guys there kind of drinking with the girls, only the captain of that wagon.
No. They got led off into the tavern before the captain did.
So there's no one at the wagon.
There's nobody at the wagon.
All right. Well, I'm still going to make myself look like one of the guys that was on that wagon.
Sure.
And I'm going to go up to that wagon. And let me see here. And I'm going to cast Detect Magic again while no one's looking. Well, I'm just going to kind of get up next to the wagon.
Okay, here. Oh. Hang on.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do.
All right.
You told me you're going to cast Disguise Self somewhere where you're not seen.
Yes.
While you're doing that, Brock, what are you going to be trying to do? Chris, are you still with us?
Ran to the restroom. What's up?
Oh, okay. Then you probably missed James saying that he was going to try to cast Disguise Self on himself and look like one of the people that had been assigned to this wagon where he knows there are multiple magic items. So he has said that his intent is to kind of go get in an out-of-the-way area and cast Disguise Self on himself. So while he's doing that, what are you going to be doing? What is Brock going to be doing?
Did he communicate that to me?
Yeah, I don't know. Did he?
Yeah,
did you tell your companions what you're planning to do?
I would have if Brock was close to me. But if he wasn't close to me, I would have taken the opportunity to do it before I lost the opportunity.
Brock would have been sitting at the head of the caravan, at the front wagon, not taking part in the festivities or whatnot.
Okay. And then while those two are doing those items, Ken, what would Fallinger be doing?
I think as we agreed, I'm putting on one hell of a musical show.
So you would be inside and playing?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this makes life really, really interesting and wonderful. So, Falliger, what I need from you is I need a performance check from you. And this is for your first, let's say your first half hour of playing.
Well, since I'm a cleric and I could do it, I'll guidance myself.
Attaboy.
And then I'll do a performance check.
That sounds good to me. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. So a 28 on performance. Okay. So there has been, you have observed, Falliger, that these people that were sad, that got affected by these mushrooms, Sam was even blubbering when the gorgeous half-elf tavern maid was comforting him by pressing his head into her bosom. And most of these people, they've allowed themselves to be led inside, and they're sitting at the tables and they're kind of drinking, and they are being fawned over by some of these tavern maids. And it's like they're trying to respond, but like every time they try to respond, they like a wave of sadness comes over them, and they're having a real hard time connecting. You get up and you start playing, and the most amazing thing happens. Within like 4 or 5 bars, you notice that there's this rhythmic pounding of mugs on the tables as people are picking up the tempo of the music that you're playing. And because you're opening with a really familiar tune, a few people start singing, and some people actually have pretty decent voices. Other people sound like a bullfrog being, tortured as they try to sing. And the girls start, some of the serving girls start dancing. And these people that have been morose and sad, it's like within about half a minute, they, like the first time in days, a smile creeps onto their face, and they seem to start to get caught up in the music. And even 1 or 2 of them get up and dance with some of these serving maids. So they are doing it, and you two outside, you hear the sounds of the music, and then you hear the sounds of the singing, and they are wafting out from the windows of the tavern, and you're like, wow, he's really putting on a hell of a show in there. Yeah, Brock, I would like for you to roll me a perception check.
Okay.
No. Not a perception check. I'm sorry, an insight check.
Okay.
And you're rolling an insight check on a tavern maid who is bringing a mug of ale out to you.
So insight, right?
Yeah, insight. Okay, that's pretty good. She comes out to you and she brings the she brings the ale up to you, and she says, "Oh, well, hello, handsome. How are you doing?"
I'm going to grab her by the wrist and kind of pull her in close and whisper in her ear, I'm not one of your targets. What do you know?
And she smiles and she says, "Oh, of course you're not a target. Our mutual friend told me about you and your companions. I'm just bringing you an ale, and you, with your with your insight, you believe that she's being sincere. She says, and she continues, and she says, some of the people on your wagons were very down in the dumps, but I think our girls are doing their part to make sure that you and your friends have some time to inspect whatever you need to inspect. And then she gives you a little smile and she says, and when you're done with your inspection, maybe there's something inside you'd like to inspect as well. And she gives you a little wink.
And Brock mutters to himself, inside what?
And she says, well, maybe inside.
Never mind that. I spoke out loud. I didn't mean to. Carry on.
And she says, whatever you say, sugar. And she blows you a little kiss. And then she walks on back into the bar. And Mulek, I would like you to make me a stealth check as you've already done your disguise self. So a stealth check as you are making your way over to the wagon, because now you look like one of the cultists.
Okay.
Okay. As you are...
I promise.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Excellent. All right. As you are making your way over there, you're about to step between wagons when you notice two pairs of ankles that are walking along, and these appear to be dainty feminine ankles. And the footwear, it's common to people that you've seen wear in taverns before. And they seem to be walking along the wagons like they are, just like they're kind of seeming like they're walking casually by. But you notice that they're approaching the wagon you're near, so you duck behind it. And as they walk by, they just sort of casually look down the wagon. But there's something about the way they're looking. You can tell it's not just a casual glance. They're actively looking to see if they spot people, and they miss you. Do
I only see the ankles? I don't see.
No. When they pass the you see the full figures, and they are tavern maids, or they're dressed as tavern maids, and you've noticed earlier. You noticed that the tavern maids were making a special care to target cult members and make sure that they were very well taken care of, if you will.
Gotcha.
In terms of that. So you manage to stay out of the way so they don't see you. They go by, and then they seem to go around and perhaps go into a back door of the inn. So now the coast is clear. So you managed to avoid detection by them. So now you can go and look into the wagon, because now you look like a cultist, and anybody who has been with the caravan would obviously think you are one of the people that belongs to that wagon.
Yeah, so I'm as I'm doing what I normally do with the wagon, checking graphs, seeing how it is. I've cast detect magic,
Okay.
and I'm looking inside.
Okay. There's nothing shows up like a trap, but you do get the multiple hits. Like you saw before, and as you look into the wagon, I am going to do this. I am going to say this, and I am going to say that, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say that. Okay. You notice. Oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Let's go to 3. In one of the things that appears to glow is wrapped in some cloth, and it appears to be kind of a flat, well, not completely flat, but sort of a flat circle, maybe 8 inches in diameter, something like that, 6-8 inches in diameter.
Just a flat circle. Okay.
Yeah, and it's loosely wrapped in some cloth that has kind of like a floral pattern, like leaves or something like that on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up.
Okay. You pick that up, and you look at it, and roll me an Arcana check to see if you recognize. Oh, well, wait a minute. What does detect magic let you know?
Well,
what
detect
it is
magic just gives me the.
That's
Yeah,
identified.
I'm not identifying. It just gives me the school of magic that the aura is putting on.
Okay. The school of magic is illusion.
Okay.
And roll me an Arcana check to see if you can identify what, to see if you happen to know what this is.
$11.
11. Okay. You haven't seen this before, and nuts, there's not a image of it, so I can't show you what it looks like. All right, but it appears to be a circlet, like a diadem or a fine crown of some kind that you might put on your head. It is. It's got a motif that makes it look like it's made from twigs and has leaves woven in it, but it's all made out of finely wrought copper and gold. So it's got kind of a little greenish cast like copper on it, and gold. And there's maybe some semi-precious stones, very small, that are set into it. But clearly it's magical. Clearly it's worth probably a lot of money because of the fact that it's a magic item. But it's, again, it's not like radiating that this is something that would let you take over a town or something like that. It's not that kind of.
Right. I still take it.
Okay, you take it. Where do you put it?
I put it. Well, I'm just gonna kind of hold it underneath my covering.
Okay, so You have
Or
one.
I guess, yeah, that's basically, I mean, it's in a bag right now. It was in a floral bag that you said?
No, it's wrapped in a cloth.
Oh, wrapped in a, okay, wrapped in a cloth.
Wrapped in a floral cloth.
Are there any bags in the, like small bags? Or something that, I mean, I imagine there's a bunch of stuff in here. Is it all just kind of haphazard laid out?
It appears to be there are crates, and these crates do not these crates have lids that close and can be latched, but they're not nailed down. So, you unlatch the crate lid and you open it, and the hinges are very well oiled, so that when you open the lids, it doesn't squeak or anything like that. Okay. Probably, if you were a cult trying to move stuff around surreptitiously, you wouldn't want people to hear every time you were opening or closing, stuff that you're keeping your booty in. So okay. The ones that you open, they seem to have similar things. Like this one appears to mostly be filled with like folded cloth, but this folded cloth has this item in it. Putting your hands and poking at the other folded cloth, most of it just seems to be cloth. But so somebody went to an extra length to hide this in and among this stuff here.
Okay. So before I actually put it anywhere on my body, I want to basically try to gather or not identify, but find the items that are given off the
right. Yeah. The so you've got one.
And hurry, and I kind of want to just hurry and see if I can grab what I can as stealthy as I can and get out of there. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time in the wagon.
Okay. Day 16. Okay. Mulek finds that item. Then what is the next item that you find? It's on that page. So let me go to that page. Oh, come on, you. When you have to go and do things that you find randomly, then you have to do that this way. All right. Okay, in this one, you open up a crate and you see that there are that this crate is filled with shields that are standing on edge, and one of those shields is glowing, and it looks like it has abjuration magic, which is about what you would expect for a shield that's magically protects you.
Okay, so I'll grab that and kind of keep it close as I'm continuing to search.
Okay, and then you find one more item in here. And this one, okay, you open a crate, and you see that this crate is filled with what looks like little leather, either little leather or wooden leather pouches or wooden boxes. And as you open some of these, you can smell perfume as you open these, and indeed most of these have little vials of perfume. But as you reach down and you start digging through, you pull out one leather pouch, and it's like a nondescript pouch that has several vials in it, and 3 of the 4 vials appear to be perfume. One of the 4 vials is actually glowing, and the glowing one is a sticky black unguent that looks thick and heavy in its container.
Okay. And then do I just see just random, just other objects inside the crate that look like?
Yeah, I mean they all
from
like
the towns and things.
Yeah, like this appears to be, that they appear to have sorted their loot. And so like the one crate had a bunch of shields in it. The one crate had a bunch of cloth, but the cloth was wrapped around this crown. And this crate has what looks like a bunch of either boxes or pouches with perfumes in it that are probably valuable in some sense. But in this particular pouch, one of those perfumes may be a perfume, may not be a perfume, but it sure is magical. And it kind of looks odd for a perfume because it's a black liquid in this crystal vial, and it looks like a thick black liquid. And you're wondering, well, why would somebody have a thick black liquid as a perfume?
Okay, so what I'd like to do is I had a shield with me. I'm going to replace the shield I had with me with the abjuration shield. So I'm basically going to take off the shield that I had
and put it in the
replace it with where the abjuration shield was.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take that cloth wrapped circlet crown thing and kind of somehow fashion that under my clothing, and then I'm going to take that small leather pouch and also just kind of strap that to my belt.
Okay.
That contains all 4 of those vials. The perfume, and then I'm just going to walk away from look like I'm tying up the wagon, and then I'm gonna walk away from the wagon.
Okay, so as our story comes to an end for the evening, Mulek has pinched 3 items of magical treasure from the cult, and nothing could possibly go wrong from doing that. There can't possibly be any consequences of doing that. So let me go ahead and just make sure I have this Berlail. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and let you kind of finish up that scene a little bit. What would you do after you leave the wagon? Where would you head?
So I would head to somewhere where no one is paying attention to disguise, and walk towards Brock.
Okay, so you go somewhere to drop the disguise, and then you head towards right. As you go somewhere to drop the disguise, make me another make me another stealth check, please.
Oh.
Okay.
Use my last chrono shift.
Okay. It's getting a little dark, and there's lots of good music from it, and you can, you can tell when you come back out of the wagon, there's now quite a crowd gathered out in front of the inn, people, or in front of the tavern, people who appear to just be listening to the music through the open door and the open windows, because Falliger is just playing up a storm. And if anything, the singing and the clapping and the banging on the tables is even louder now than it was when you first went into the wagon, and everybody seems to be focused on that. So yeah, you nip off behind a wagon and you can drop the disguise. You don't think anybody saw you. And then you head over towards where Brock is. So Brock, you see Mulek coming towards you, and there's just something about the way he's walking that makes him look like the cat that swallowed the canary. He just seems to be insufferably proud of himself for some reason. And inside the tavern, Falliger, your music is rousing the crowd. You see that when you finish your first ale, as you put the glass down, or you put the tankard of ale down, somebody picks it up, and as they start to pass it towards the person next to them, they reach into their coin purse and they pull out a few coppers and silvers, and they drop it in and they pass it along. And as you keep playing, you see this mug is kind of like going around, making its way around the crowd. And after about 15-20 minutes, it makes its way back to you, and the thing is just filled with you see maybe 1 or 2 gold coins in there, but you see mostly copper, and a fair amount of silver is in that mug as well. And people are, some people will call out tunes, but it doesn't seem to matter what you play, whether you play what they ask for or not. They all just seem to be really getting into it. And you notice that a lot of the serving maids, they seem to be a little distracted from what they're supposed to be doing because they're enjoying the music so much.
Whoops.
So they're giving you, every time you catch one of them catches your eye, she gives you like a little wink or a little smile, and seems very appreciative of the music that you are playing. And let me get you a total here. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this. So I want to say that the total you get is all right. That, and then that, and then okay. So the total that is in that mug, when you finally have a chance to go through it, is in mixed coins, there's a total of 24 gold, 26 silver, and 83 copper that are in that mug. So
Wait. How much did you say?
Yeah, I'm putting it in Discord. Okay. So Falliger gets a haul of, let's say, 24 gold pieces, 26 silver pieces, and 83 copper pieces from passing the mug while he plays at
pretty good
at the tavern. Yep. These are people who are, they had a bit of a traumatic experience on the road. They are here at a place where they feel, they normally feel really, really good, and you are playing music that even enhances the atmosphere of how they normally feel when they get to this place. So, yes, and as our scene closes, the fade to black on the sounds of merriment going on at the inn. While outside, Mulek seems very pleased with himself, and Brock is left to ponder just what the hell has the artificer done now. So we will pick back up there next week. Viewers, thank you guys for hanging out with us this evening. We hope that you enjoyed our session. We will be back next Thursday night, 8 p.m. Hopefully, we will have a full complement of players next week. And we will continue with this Sword Coast Chronicles. All right. We will see everybody later. Take care and stream. Good night.